So, hey, if you're listening to this, that means you heard I have a podcast. Or maybe you're one of the loyal podcast listeners who's been like, Hannah, what the heck happened to the podcast? Either way, so happy to have you here. I realized that I didn't do a very good job of introducing the podcast for anybody who might be new. So I thought I would just take a quick second to kind of do that. This podcast is called Rantish, and usually it's a solo podcast. I'm toying with having different guests on and kind of experimenting with how I want to see that. But for the most part, it's just me ranting by myself. And I call it Rantish because, like I said, I like to rant. And rants can be anything. It doesn't have to be complaining, although there's definitely some of that in there. It can also just be me chatting about anything that's exciting or fun or frustrating or hilarious or whatever. I consider it a rant, and that's why it's like rant-ish, because it doesn't have to be an angry rant. It's just a rant. It's just a monologue. It's just me chatting about my day-to-day. So this episode is a little different because Steven came on with me. And I'll be honest, we started recording this at 9 p.m. Well, we started the idea of recording it, but by the time I had everything set up, it was probably closer to 10. And we didn't wrap until closer to 11, which is way past our bedtimes. So if you can feel the energy lagging a little bit, that's why. But I hope you'll stick around. Check out the backlog of episodes. There's plenty to choose from. They're all totally random, but hopefully at least a little bit entertaining. And as always, the purpose of the podcast is just to help you feel less alone, like you have a friend that you're hanging out with and a place that you belong. So, welcome to Rantish. Okay, one more thing before we get to the episode. Hopefully, I will get back into the groove because I'm listening back to this episode and it's a little painful because I don't exactly explain what is going on. So if you've been here, you know I've been trying to grow my Instagram. I've pivoted a few times in my approach. But earlier this year, right at the end of the school year, I decided to go really aggressive. And I made this public goal to be able to get to 10,000 followers by my birthday on August 16th. So on May 27th, I think I posted this reel. This is me publicly trying. I made the goal to reach 10,000 followers by my birthday, August 16th, and it's terrifying. But sometimes in order to get what you want, you have to be willing to tell people you want it. Hi, I'm Hannah, and while becoming an influencer still makes me feel pretty uncomfortable, I have a message I'm determined to share with the world, and I know I can't do that by staying small. For most of my life, I misunderstood motherhood. When I found out I was pregnant for the first time, it felt like my life was ending. I was pretty convinced that having a baby was going to be the worst thing that ever happened to me, and that the person I was before having kids would basically disappear in the process. After my baby was born, I was instantly so in love with her, but I immediately noticed the perceived identity shift that came with being a mom. Overnight, I went from being Hannah, a friend who liked messy buns and comfy clothes, to a mom friend with a mom bun who wore a mama-form and had a mom brain who drove a mom car. From that day forward, my time was basically filled with one thing: momming. I always loved my kids, but more often than not, I found myself questioning if I truly loved being a mom. Then one day, I took a drive in the mountains and I had an epiphany that literally changed everything. Call it God, call it the Holy Spirit, call it the universe, whatever you want to call it. I just know it didn't come from me. And the thought was this: motherhood is a relationship. Wait, what? All this time, I had been equating motherhood with tasks, things that filled my time taking care of tiny children. But then I realized if someone else took over parts of those tasks, would they become my kid's mom? Would I be less of a mom if I let my kids start taking the bus or if someone else made them dinner? Of course not. Why? Because doing the tasks wasn't what made me a mom. The relationship did. Motherhood is a relationship. This perspective shift led me to a second really life-altering realization. I don't have to love caregiving to love being a mom. Caregiving is a job. Motherhood is a relationship. And not liking caregiving doesn't have to have any more shame attached to it than not liking accounting or being a librarian. Being a good mom doesn't mean putting my kids first and myself last. It means prioritizing the relationship. Crazy, right? This whole time I thought I was being a really good mom by being the one who always took care of my children. But the reality was I was being a workaholic. And if I've learned anything from all of the movies I've watched in my 33 years, it's that being a workaholic isn't ideal for strong relationships. So what did I do? I started implementing work-life boundaries. I didn't need to find myself outside of motherhood, but I did need to find myself outside of caregiving. Because while motherhood is a 24/7, 365 relationship, expecting myself to be a 24/7, 365 caregiver was not going well for me or my relationships. I started a photography business and hired regular childcare. But after about a year of photography, I realized that my real passion is in sharing this life-changing message. And now I'm ready to share it with the masses. I know there are people out there that need this message just as much as I did, and I need your help to reach them. Will you share this reel with a friend? Will you comment to let Instagram know to push this to new audiences, I would be forever grateful. And I'm willing to bet the people out there who need this message will be really grateful too. So I post that and then it's off to the races. My goal was to post 3 reels a day, every day for the whole time until I got to my birthday, which I didn't quite do that. I posted 2 reels most days. There was one week where I was on a family reunion that I didn't post at all. But I was literally spending easily 6 hours, sometimes up to 10 hours a day on content. Like, people that don't make content don't understand the commitment of making content, just the time commitment. And granted, that was like hour here, hour there, but it was before my kids woke up. It was after they went to bed. It was while they were home, right? During the day, it was like, nope, go play with a friend, go do this. But I was paying my older kids to watch the baby because he is a handful. And I was just like trying to pump out as much content as I possibly could. To say this was all consuming is an understatement. It was what I thought about. It was what I dreamed about. I went to sleep thinking about it. I woke up thinking about it. Like, trying to get to 10K basically consumed every aspect of my life. And okay, I won't spoil the rest of the story, so you'll have to listen, but I just wanted to kind of give that background because I failed to do that in this podcast. Like I said, it was late. We were tired. I didn't know what was going on. We didn't really discuss ahead of time how we thought where this podcast was going to go. So wanted to include that, and now I will, hopefully the rest of the story will make sense, and if not, let me know, because I want it to be clear. So, okay, that's all. Love you. Enjoy. Bye. Hello, and welcome back to Rantish. I always hate starting. It's been a minute, because then it just makes me feel like I never record podcasts.
Dear Diary.
Yeah, exactly.
Last time I wrote you.
So much has happened since the last time I wrote. No, we are coming at you tonight late. Our kids are in bed, hopefully to stay, and we are just here to chat, rant, perhaps. We should introduce you too, actually, in case there's new people here. You haven't really been on Instagram much.
It's true. I'm on Instagram more than I've ever been on Instagram in my life.
You haven't been on my account as much this summer. We've just been very busy doing parallel businesses this last few months. But Steven is my husband. We have been married 12 years this past week, last Sunday. And he's great. He started his own business earlier this year. And I've been trying to do the Instagram thing pretty aggressively the last few months. So it's been fun. It's been good. It's been busy.
We went to a panel a little while ago with like a bunch of entrepreneurs. And I don't remember if we asked the question or if somebody else asked the question, but it was just like, how do you balance when 2 people want to? Oh, because it was couples. Yeah, it was couples. And every one of the couples had one person that was like a dreamer, go-getter. And then the other person was like presented more as like a logical, numbers, go-getter, grounded, realistic kind of person. And yeah, your question was like, what do you do when you're both dreamers and you want to chase after that dream? And everyone was like, don't do it at the same time.
Yeah. You don't. You're like,
you take turns. And we haven't been doing that for the last few months. So
nope. So we'll see if we can sustain it. That's the question.
So far, hanging on.
Okay. How do you want to kick this off? I'm kind of going to turn it over to you to
steer the ship. This is the first podcast that you've done since hitting 10K. So let's maybe talk about that experience. Like, tell me about like why you wanted to hit 10K and maybe walk me through your thoughts on like how you ended up setting the goal and going after it.
So from the start, I've always been drawn towards Instagram. As soon as I found Instagram was like I thought of it more of a creative space than just like a post pictures of whatever you're doing. I mean, I enjoyed that too. But when it was more catered towards content creation and not just life journaling, I was really drawn towards it because I've really enjoyed making videos, taking photos. I have done photography in the past. I did video editing just for fun. Back then, this was like 2016, 2017. I was like, I want to get to 10K so that I can work with brands, because at the time you had to have swipe up for a link. I found this program. It was called Mass Planner, and it would like find accounts and engage with accounts on your behalf. It was really popular back in like 2017, 2018. And not that I know that sounds like a justification. It totally is. Like I regretted it. I didn't like it. I
People
felt
market
like
their businesses. It's totally fine.
no, but like it never felt authentic.
Yeah.
It never felt, it felt
fair.
dishonest. I didn't like it. And so finally by 2024, and plus there's the whole factor too of like, I changed what I was posting about first. I was just doing my own family random stuff. Then I was doing like, oh no, I'm a photographer. Then it was like, oh no, I have this message I want to share. And, da, da, da. And so that was up and down. Plus I was having kids. And so I was very sporadic with like how often I was posting and what I was posting about. So a year ago, I was like, I just want to start over. I shut that old account down. I asked everyone to go start following me on a new account. And like, and to show that those people really weren't engaged. I had 11,000 followers. And when I shut that account down and said, hey, go follow me on this other account, about 1,000 of them transferred to the new account, which is, to me, it feels authentic to like how many people were actually engaged with that account. And I didn't like that I was just like carrying all of these people that didn't really want to be there. So I've been trying since my birthday a year ago when I started this new account. I've been trying to grow this new account, and Instagram growth is just really hard to come by. I mean, I know that feels like a limiting thought, and it is, but it is very much a different landscape than it was 10 years ago, maybe not 10, 8 years ago. Whereas before, people were frequently, it seemed like, looking for accounts to follow. Now they're very conscious of their time that they're spending on social media. And so they're less liberal with the follow.
Yeah. Oh, I think too, I mean, maybe this is right, maybe this is wrong, but from what I see, it seems like I'm just like the level of play on Instagram is much higher. Like you'll see small accounts producing some pretty impressive content these days and trying to get followers. At the same time, the big players have more resources to put out lots of content.
Right.
And so they're growing bigger than the small accounts pop off every now and then, but not as often as they did 8 years ago when you were on.
That was so Gen Z of you to say pop off.
Look at me go.
Look at you. Anyway, so I've been trying to grow that account, and it just, hasn't really had a lot of traction to it. And so I found this account. Her name is Sarah Sweeten. I saw her account earlier at like the end of May, right before I went to bed. And she was basically just asking for the follow and just saying, I want to be an influencer, and kind of owning what she wanted and telling people what she wanted and having a lot of success with it. And I also need to kind of pivot too in this telling of the story, because I like creating content and I think it's super fun. I enjoy it. And I also have a message that I feel really strongly about, that I'm really passionate about, that I want to get to as many people as will listen to it. I understand it's not for everyone. Some people don't like it. That's fine. But I want to give them the opportunity to hear it so that they can decide whether or not it's going to serve them. And there's really no better way to do that than social media, because you have access to literally people all over the world from my house. Like in the future, I would love to write a book. I would love to do more public speaking things. But right now where I'm at, Instagram is by far the best tool, or just social media in general, to be able to reach and influence the amount of people, the maximum amount of people. So I saw this girl's account, and it's really interesting because from the beginning, especially from 2020, when I had my big revelation, realization, epiphany, whatever you want to call it, about motherhood, and really just that's when I had the language finally to distinguish, like, okay, there are things that are caregiving, there are things that are motherhood, and they're not exactly the same. I have felt God led to sharing that message. And so it's been continually frustrating to me that, not that I expect it to be easy because God wanted me to do it, but I at least expected it to gain traction, I guess. Like I just thought that there would be a little bit more support externally, because I'm like, here I am trying to do this thing that I feel like is a good thing, that I feel like is God led. And yet it's just been a grind, and it's been not really received super well. It's made people upset. And again, I know that will come, but anyway, I finally just had this moment of like, maybe the reason why it hasn't worked is because I haven't tried enough different approaches. And maybe this approach I can try now is more focused on getting people bought into helping me share this message and having a timeline and a number goal attached to that. So I went to sleep that night after seeing this girl's account. Shout out again, Sarah Sweeten. I just met her actually a couple days ago at an event. And I told her a little bit about this, but I went to sleep, and the next day I woke up and I just had this very clear, like, okay, I am going to try to go for 10K by my birthday. I had 1,800 followers at the time.
And this was what month?
May 27th, I think. Very end of May. What I didn't think through, and I'm like kicking myself for this, but I did not think through the fact that my kids were going to be getting, my 3 older kids were going to be getting out of school like a week after I set this goal. And that means that the whole entire summer I was just fixated on this goal. Not the smartest timing in the world, truthfully, but it was interesting too, because I feel like even that idea of that specific number and that specific timeline, it didn't necessarily feel like it was my idea. It felt like it was planted from God. So
yeah, I mean, I remember having conversations about this. It was interesting to see your evolution through like conversations. It was just like you had to kind of own it a little bit. Like you had to take it for yourself. Like you went from thinking, oh, it would be really nice to grow, to like, I'm going to make it happen and I'm going to put myself on the line and like tell people that that's what I'm trying to do. And I think that's what Sarah Sweeten's account helped you do. It's like, I'm not just going to be back here and like try to keep making content that hopefully helps people and maybe they'll share it and I'll grow. Going to, hey, I'm going to actively tell people that this is my mission. This is what I feel called to do. And I need your help to grow it. Like I need to grow it. And that was a big, like, I remember you being really scared to tell people that you were trying to grow. Like that was a really difficult hurdle to get over.
I feel like, and maybe this is just me, but I do feel like there's this perception around influencers where it's okay if it was kind of an accident.
Right.
If they just kind of stumbled into it, like, oh, I just started posting recipes and then, wow, what do you know? I gained 150,000 followers.
It feels more benevolent. And
it feels like, justified, I guess.
Yeah.
But, and there, it seems like there are a lot of stories that way where I even literally just came up across from one the other night that she was like, and then somehow I found myself as an influencer. And I'm just like, that's crazy to me because I've been actively trying to do this for 8 years and I don't feel like I've ever really gotten there. And so
yeah, I think it's people's natural tendency to play that. It's like when someone says like, hey, you look great. And you're like, oh, this whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's the same kind of vibe that I don't think there are probably some people out there that get to 10,000 plus without trying, but I think most people try.
Yeah. But I think they have, I mean, I don't know. They don't have to, but I think that there is kind of like this, idea, emphasis to downplay it a little bit.
They could say it was an accident in the same way that you could say, I set that goal and it felt huge. And even with a week left, it felt like I'm just going to push through to the finish line by continuing to post every day. But like, I might not make it. Because I think going into the last week, you had, what was it? 4. Yeah, you needed 6,000 more people to hit your goal. And so it was like I remember having a conversation about that too before we fell asleep.
Because so that Friday before I hit 4,000 and I was feeling a little bit embarrassed just because I had been so public about the goal, but I was like, that's okay. I can make content around that, and maybe people will see it later and be like, oh, look at, like, I'll get the pity follow or something. I don't know. Because I was definitely thinking through, okay, now as soon as next Saturday happens, I haven't met my goal. I'm going to pivot my content and then I'll start talking about like, I had this goal and I didn't hit it and blah, 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 And so I was already prepping for that. But at the same time, I was like grateful because I had grown from 1,800 to 4,000. And in this period of, just a couple months, like that was more growth than I'd had in a year. So I was pleased with that. I was grateful. So that Sunday night or Saturday night, one of those, the week before, we were going to bed and I was just like, yeah, I think I might just kind of coast. And Steven was like, what? No, you're not. You're going to finish this out. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I guess you're right. Like, why not give it one more week? So then on Tuesday, I posted the reel that brought the thousands and thousands of people in. And the thing that's so funny about that reel was that I've posted that reel at least 3 different times, but I just changed the beginning a little bit, saying like, we're at the end here, like my birthday's this Saturday and this is the goal. And it was so crazy because like I said, I had 4,000 on Friday, posted that reel on Tuesday. By Wednesday, I hit 5K. By Thursday, I hit 7K. By Friday night, which was my original cutoff, right before my birthday, I'd hit like 11.5K. And then it kept going for a little bit. It's definitely slowed down now, which honestly is okay because now I feel like I just need to take a breather, catch up on my milk jugs.
That's right.
And really engage the people that have come, because now my big fear is that all these people follow for the pity follow, essentially, of like, okay, this girl's desperate. I'll give her I'll throw her a bone, basically. And then they don't really care about me or my mission, really, which is the thing that I'm most passionate about people really internalizing. But I will say I was grateful that the reel that did bring in most everybody was a good overview of me and my story. And so even if they heard that one reel, they'll still, I think, have gotten a quick win of hearing the overall idea and the mindset shift that is so important and that was so influential to me. But I do hope that they'll stick around longer, because I think there's a lot more than just that one that I can offer.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a thought, and then it's going to take us back to the beginning.
Okay.
But like, for me, watching you publicly state your goal and then work so hard for months from May through to August. Like, I think you were putting out 3 reels a day.
I was trying.
You were editing literally every down second you have, which with 6 kids running around is like not any time at all except for at night. And like, I'm going to sleep and you're still editing a lot of the time. And to see all the work that you'd put in and then be in that last week and still need 6,000 more followers to hit your goal, it was like, I was happy for the growth that you did have, but like, I was probably, I don't know. Like, if you'd asked me at that moment, like, do you think it's possible? I would have said, yeah, I think it's possible, but I think it's highly improbable. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like,
I felt the same way.
Sure. It's like we were always saying the whole time, it was like, like my thing has always been like, okay, well, you just need one. Like everybody knows, you just need one good one. It just takes one. And then everything that you have in the backlog is, what I call a binge bank of like, it makes people more likely to stick. Right. But it was like, how are we going to get that? How are you going to get that one? Yeah. And so I wouldn't have said it was impossible, but I did feel like it was highly improbable. And then those last couple of days where your like follower count was growing every single time that someone hit, that you hit refresh on your account, was truly frame breaking for me to see. Like, it was so cool to just watch like this snowball effect of momentum that just picked up and kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and like kept going and going. And it was just like, I just had the feeling the whole day. I was just like, oh my gosh, like she deserves this. This is so great. She's worked so hard. God is good. Like, how cool is that you can put your vision and a goal out into the universe and like you can get it. And not everyone gets it every time,
right?
Whatever. But like, it was just truly frame breaking for me. Also being in a similar situation where I'm trying to grow a business and I'm trying to figure out how to grow, not as active on social media, working on it, but to just see like, oh, it just takes grinding for an indefinite amount of time, but then it'll just blow up. Like it could just blow up. And when it blows up, it just picks up so much momentum. And I told you I'm getting somewhere with this. It was funny to me that people still came into your DMs and we're asking you questions around like, you know, like what was the one thing, or like what was it that did it? Because to
How
them,
did you grow? They were asking me
how
about
did
my
you grow? Because to them, it looked like it had happened in a couple months, or it had happened in a few weeks, or like most of the growth had happened in 3 or 4 days. And like we were just joking, like, what's the response? Start out with a blog 10 years ago,
Right.
and then try all these different kinds of, like you mentioned, you gravitated towards Instagram, but you had your blog for a while. You had the what was that app called?
The streaming one, Periscope.
Periscope. Yeah. Shout out to Periscope.
I know. I'm still
Rest
sad
in
that
peace.
that died. It was so fun.
You know, like, so you had Periscope, you had some other ones that like you felt like were growing for a little while. And then you've pivoted a couple times, but I mean, one thing that you've always done is you've always done like pretty high quality content that requires some editing, and you've always been good at editing, whether it's photography or video. Like, you have done tons to learn that and be a little bit faster at it than, I mean, me, the average person.
Yeah, I still feel like I'm so slow.
And then you have to post consistently 3 times a day for 4 months, but that's not even counting all the posts that you did before that. Not even counting all of the time that you've spent like constructing the vision and getting feedback from people and molding it and figuring out how to talk about it and like all this stuff. So it's like, yeah, the growth, most of it happened in a week, but I mean, you've been
an 8
giving
years overnight success story.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, so as like from maybe a mama bear perspective of people coming in and thinking like you did it overnight, it's like, no, you've been working so hard at this. And that's why I say there's no way that someone like truly grows and explode. I mean, okay, there are some people maybe that explode overnight, but their ability to like craft something out of it and keep something with it is
To sustain it
is low, right? Like, look at what's her name? Haktua girl.
No,
She, like,
I think actually I think she was one of the smart ones actually.
I mean, she was smart in the sense that she did a huge crypto rug pull and walked away with millions of dollars, but everybody hates her, I thought. That's what I thought. Because she like pumped a big crypto coin, which that's what we're announcing. Here it is, crypto. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm so glad you tuned in to
I
hear
think
the
she
big
pumped
reveal.
a big crypto coin, and then it was a big rug pull. So like they sold everything out underneath, and they walked away.
Yeah,
with
that
like
means absolutely
10 or
nothing to me.
$20 million.
But I will go back to what you were saying before, because it is true as far as like, I've wanted it for a long time. Like, I've wanted to be able to get the traction. I've wanted to be able to get the message, but I truly don't think, I mean, like all of those years of grinding with little to no traction, I think, were necessary to be able to help me craft how to talk about motherhood and caregiving, and motherhood is a relationship and caregiving is a job, and just all of the things that I can say now that I feel like it's still unclear for a lot of people, but it's so much clearer than it was. And I don't think I ever could have gotten to the level of clarity that I am now without the last 5 years of experimenting and trying again and making people angry and saying like, okay, well, what if I change it a little bit like this? And that's the other thing I have to say too, that was truly mind blowing about the growth last week, was that I mean, I believed that kind of growth was possible, right? A reel takes off and you get thousands of followers, but I don't think I ever could have believed it was possible without backlash. And the shocking thing is I've had no backlash from it. Not to say it won't happen. I'm sure it will, because that's the name of the game. But anytime I see a video come on my scroll that has a lot of interaction,
it's intentionally
you go to
controversial.
it's intentionally controversial. And the reason why it's gotten so much traction is because people are fighting in the comments. So it's, you know, a net positive because it helps that person get in front of more people, but they have to deal with all of the, you know, just ridiculous things that people say. And
I mean, I think that like prevailing sentiment on any social media platform is like, you got to do what you got to do to get your face out there. And
right.
What you have to do is create buzz. And that comes in the form of engagement, content, comments.
And sparking.
And so people very intentionally have something controversial in their videos, and those are the ones that do well.
But
pop off.
Right. The thing that's so crazy though, like that video, and honestly, its reach hasn't even been huge. Like it's not, I've never had a video reach 1 million people or
really
anything, which a lot of people have. The conversion is actually crazy because it has like 7,000 likes, and of those 6,000 follows, or so, and probably 1,000 of those people were already following me at some point. So that is mind blowing. And the fact that nobody came to the comment section angry, that's truly miraculous.
So that's part of the whole thing that was just frame breaking for me, in the sense it was like, it didn't feel like it was just like random lightning struck. It was like, wow, I have seen you work so hard for so long. And it was just like, yeah, it's eventually gonna pay off. So gave me motivation to keep going. Anyway, you're amazing. Proud of you.
Thank you. I mean, I think you're downplaying your role in it though too, because every weekend, I'm just on my computer doing whatever, and you're kind of taking care of everything else, and in the evenings, and you've definitely felt it too. But you've been on board, which has been really, I've appreciated.
Yeah. It's a good thing that we're both, our tolerance for like mess and chaos is really high. Yeah. Because it was pretty nuts. Like if you were trying to, if someone was trying to like keep their life in control and do this, I don't recommend that. We've been pretty wild.
Or you better like hire a cleaning person.
Yeah. We've been pretty wild the last couple months, but
yep,
worth it.
I mean, we'll see.
I mean, not sustainable forever, but worth it in the short term.
Right.
Oh, hey, it's me. Quick interruption, because I wanted to tell you that I made a guide. It's called the Redefining Motherhood Guide, and the purpose of it is helping you separate the job of caregiving from the relationship of motherhood. It's kind of like 5 steps. It was honestly a bit of a journey to be able to write this guide, because as I made this goal, I had all these people pouring in, and they were like, I want to learn more. I want to understand more. What more do you have for me, basically? And it was really hard to really break down the process that I went through after having this mindset shift, but I did my very best. And so I have that guide available. It's a free guide. I'll link it in the show notes. Feel free to check it out if that's something that you might be interested in. All right, we'll go back to the interview now.
Yeah, I want to speak to that point because I've noticed that it seems like there is this pervasive mentality around women, mothers specifically, where they want to be validated in the fact that they do everything, that it's unfair, right? That like men get away with so little, they do all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. And at the same time, they draw so much of their identity from the doing of it all.
Yeah.
That was something that was really interesting to me. And I even caught myself doing that a little bit, because it was like, there was one point where you kind of offered to take over the laundry, because you'd done laundry at the beginning, and then because of the way that our laundry setup was and whatever. But then I had, it had defaulted to me because I was a stay-at-home mom and whatever. And then sometimes you would just like do your own laundry, or you would do a load of laundry. And I remember feeling guilty or like bad, like I wasn't doing my job because you were doing your own laundry. And it's like, I think we even had a conversation about it, and I was like, that is so ridiculous. But because I could have
just kept that going. That's what you're telling me.
It's just so ingrained, or like this, we just hear this messaging so often that equates motherhood and laundry, that I got to a point where I believed doing the laundry made me a mom, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I've from the beginning been really appreciative of your not ever thinking that way, and like never expecting that I would do anything just because I'm the mom or I'm the woman, and like always being very involved in the caregiving in every sense of the word, in the making dinner, in the taking the kids to Costco, in the even grocery shopping, meal planning, doing the laundry, like. And now I feel like I obviously have no qualms with that, but I think I did resist it for a little while because it was
threatening, I think, to me to some degree in motherhood.
Yeah, it's interesting. Threatening is an interesting word of just like you had to put your identity somewhere, but maybe weren't sure where to put it.
Well, and I didn't have anything outside of the
Right.
home and the kids. Like that was my everything.
Yeah.
One thing I just want to touch on, and then I know we're going to wrap up soon because it's getting late, but I'm wondering if you can help me come up with a good explanation, because the thing that's so interesting to me, especially in this last week, as I've gotten so many more people listening to me and, hearing my message, is them wanting me to explain what the relationship is. And that's really hard for me to do because I'm like, it's a relationship. Like I haven't quite figured out the words on how to articulate that, but I will give one idea, and then I'd love to hear your thoughts too.
Can I give an opinion on why I think it's hard
to explain or what?
Well, yeah. So some of the feedback that you get is like, well, what do I do to build the relationship? Or like, tell me more things on how to build the relationship, which makes sense. But I think where it's maybe hard is because the realization alone for you was enough to...
Was a language realization.
It was a language realization that reframed how you thought about and showed up as a person, as the mom of our children and as a person in our house.
Yeah, it reframed how I thought about how I spent my time.
But what's interesting is you didn't really have to. I mean, it has shaped how you've changed. It has shaped what you focus on, but it didn't have to. It didn't have to change the actual interactions you had with our kids or with me or with anyone. It's just how you are seeing and envisioning the world allows you, like, frees you from the burden of never-ending task lists. Yeah. And so I wonder if it feels challenging to give people advice or tips or education around how to build the relationship, because that's such a unique thing for them and their, like the way that they should build a relationship with their kids is so unique to them and their kids and their family dynamics and their life circumstances and what they value, that it feels like overly nuanced, that if you focused on that, it would miss the point of the message, which is you just need to shift your thinking to discover the things that you're letting you weigh you down or make you feel mom guilt
or make you feel restricted,
feel lesser
or
than,
constrained,
exactly, or like you don't have an identity, or all of those things like are self-imposed.
Yes.
And as soon as you can break out of that frame, you can still have the same relationships, but you're going to be able to, in the same way.
But the relationships will be deeper, though.
But they will be deeper, and you will get more out of them, and you will feel closer to people. Like that will make the change that will improve your relationship better than some tactical framework for how to talk to your kid when they're angry or something like that, right? Which valuable on a different level, but you're talking strategy, big picture, and people are coming and they're asking you, give me tactics. And so I think you're missing on a different plane.
Well, I mean, but I'm yes and no, because I see myself as giving you tactics for what I call what I do redefining motherhood, because it is a language thing. Like I am giving you tools for reframing your language.
Yeah, it's like
and people are like, how do I build a relationship with my kids? And I've been thinking about this a lot. I am going to incorporate that a little bit more into my content. But at the end of the day, There are so many parenting accounts, and I feel like that is their purpose.
Yeah. And like, I mean, you
no
naturally
other account is teaching you how to reframe your language around motherhood. Like that is where I see myself in this landscape.
Yeah. Maybe the language that you use is tactical, but the themes of it, I think, are strategic. And yeah, I do think that's a good way to describe it, of like, yours is a language shift that changes someone's mindset and their attitudes and their behaviors towards something, which will then undoubtedly impact the specific behaviors that they do. But you are not trying to be the person that dictates all of those behaviors.
Right. And the last thing I want to do is give people like another checklist to feel like that they're failing at, right?
True.
Because that's what people want. They want to be like, I want a checklist so I can make sure I'm a good mom. They just want more validation. And I want people to get the validation from themselves and not look to me or anyone for that. Because like the fact of the matter is, if you care, then that's all the validation you need, because that you're trying. You're trying and you're putting in the effort and you're doing, you're not giving up. And that's ultimately, I think, is the most important thing.
Yeah.
There was something though right before this.
I feel like that unlocked some clarity for me on it too. So
dang, there was something else. Just back to the relationship. So what I mean too is like, when I think of, okay. This is what I was going to say. I think of like, at any given moment, I'm with my kids and I'm getting frustrated and like, I am not acting in a mature, poised manner. I kind of check myself, and I mean, I'm not perfect at this, right? Everybody has their days, but I check myself and I think like, I do not have to be the one. Let's take bedtime, for example, which usually Steven does bedtime. So I'm not even really like involved, but a few years ago, let's say, when I was more involved in bedtime and it was like a particularly frustrating night with one of our kids, whatever, I would think to myself, I could feel myself starting to get short. I could feel myself starting to get frustrated. And I would think to myself, I do not have to be here right now putting this child to bed. This does not have to be me. This could be a hired babysitter that was putting my kid to bed while I was out with a friend or on a date or on a trip or whatever. But since it is me, since I am the one interacting with my child right now, what do I want this interaction to feel like? Because doing the thing, putting my kid to bed, is not motherhood. But the interaction that I'm having while that thing is going on is building the relationship. So I don't know if that's actually going to confuse people more.
No, the way I just understood it is like, again, it's a mindset change from I have to be here to I'm here because I choose to be here.
Yes, exactly.
And
I don't have to be here. Being here right now does not make me a mom. But since I am the one here, I chose that tonight, this day, this second, this minute. I want to choose how I'm going to respond to my child, because every one of these interactions is building a relationship. Granted, the relationship is built over millions of interactions over decades of time. So I don't have to have it right 100%. I don't even have to have it. I think they say it's like 60%. If you can get it right 60% of the time, you're doing fine.
Yeah, you're screwing up. But like, but again,
don't make that add pressure to you, but just the mindset of like
the reminder of I'm choosing to be here.
I'm choosing to be here. Every time I'm here, I'm choosing to be here.
Right. And the fact that you got there, even when initially it felt like I'm not choosing this because I didn't choose the timing for this, has meant a world of difference in your joy as a mom.
Yeah, letting go of the expectation or just the level of obligation.
Yeah.
And even just, people are always like, my kids need me. Like, they don't. They need someone who's going to care for them, and they need someone who's going to be there and be that safe place and make sure their needs are met. And it doesn't have to be you. But sometimes you want it to be you because you want to build that relationship, but it doesn't have to be you. Yeah. And I think falling into this trap of like, oh, they need me, I have to be there.
I think really quickly can turn into resentment if we're not checking it frequently. And so I try to always, every time I'm getting frustrated with my kids, I remind myself, like, right now in this moment, I am choosing to be here. I could have chosen differently to make different choices to not be here in this very moment, but I didn't. And so I'm here. And so I'm going to try to be that person that I would want to be here and have that the level of patience that I would want whoever is taking care of my kids to have.
Yeah. Nobody wants to be forced to do stuff. Saw this today we had one job, which was clean the main floor. All of our kids, like, as soon as they knew that was the required job of them, just collapsed, like the worst.
Meltdowns everywhere.
Quincy was beside himself. And then I gave him the option to, instead of picking up things off of the floor in the main room in an air-conditioned house where it's very nice, and the things, there were not that many things. They could have all worked together and done it in 20 minutes. Instead of doing that, I gave him the option to clean all of the toilets in the 3 of our bathrooms and mow the lawn, and he could count that. And what did he do? He instantly went and cleaned all the toilets, mowed the lawn. Not only did he mow the lawn, which, by the way, took him an additional 45 minutes.
And it was hot.
And it was super hot. And the lawnmower weighs as much as he does, and he's pushing that thing around. Then when he was done, decided to pull up a bunch of weeds in the yard as well. Totally didn't need to, right? But it's the difference of he chose to do it, so he was pumped about it. And he got the outcome that he wanted, and he felt good about the work that he did, but he chose it rather than spend the 20 minutes picking up Legos off the floor that I obligated him to do.
Yeah, that's actually a really good analogy. Because, yeah, it's true. Nobody wants to feel like they're forced into anything. And I think that's what's so pervasive with parenthood is it's like, okay, well, you chose to have that kid, so now you're forced to take all of this responsibility on you. And the reason why this mindset shift was so beneficial to me was it was like, okay, yes, I am choosing to be part of this relationship, and everything outside of that, like the way that I build that relationship is my choice. Like I get to figure out what that is actually going to look like in the day to day, rather than just assuming it's going to be this way because I'm a mom, or assuming because that I have to do X, Y, and Z because it makes me a good mom. And that is what has made it so expansive and fun and exciting, rather than feeling like this thing that weighed me down. It made something that it feels like something that is just like adding in positive ways. Not to say that there's not a lot of work, and not to say that work doesn't suck sometimes, but it is so much more freeing to think of it from a place of choice.
Yeah. That's it. That's the message. Right
Signed, sealed, delivered. End rant.